Hey. Let's get you in here. Oh, okay. Welcome in, you guys. Welcome in. Get in here. Get in here. Get in here. Get in here.
What,
Hello.
what you know?
Hello.
What you know about that type of
You know
punctuality?
what I'm
Man,
saying? I'm talking
I'm
about right at 3.
I'm professional out here.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
How are you?
all is well, man. I'm a little tired, low key, kind of exhausted. Been a rough past couple days, but that come with the territory. Sometimes
Yeah.
balance is going full speed ahead until you get to some rest.
Yeah.
So we on full speed ahead right now, but I'm glad to be here. I'm honored to be here. Chrissy kind of connected us. And when I dove into the content, I saw the intentionality, I saw the professionalism, and I want to be a part of that. So I appreciate you having me here with you today. And you in Cali, right?
I'm in Cali, Los Angeles,
So,
Inglewood area, all
yeah,
of that.
yeah, I need
So
that
yeah.
demographic too.
You said you're
No,
what?
I said I need that demographic too. So
Absolutely. You
yeah,
gotta come to the West Coast and you're
right.
in Texas, but what part?
Yeah, I'm in
You
Houston. I'm a Jersey boy, but yeah, I've been in Houston for about
oh
2.5 years. Yeah.
right. Right. I do know all of the history. I've done my deep
Okay.
dives. I've done my
Okay.
research on Mr. Brick City Buddha now. Should I be calling you Docs? Because I know that you have the hip
Mm-hmm.
hop artist title, you have the spiritual counselor, you have the relationship counselor,
Mm-hmm.
you have the meditation guru. There's all these different, titles that are synonymous with you. So what should I go by?
I've been getting a download from my spirit as of late to honor this new iteration
Okay.
of me. And I don't really like when I'm in the crib, it ain't docs, it's just baby in the crib or dad. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So to myself, I don't go by any of them, but I do recognize the vehicle that each one of them represents. And Doc's definitely had his run.
Mm,
He kind of carried the cross in a lot of ways for Buddha to get here.
yeah.
But I'm getting a download lately that I'm supposed to honor Buddha
I
more. So I'm gonna ask you.
love that. Mr. Buddha. Well, yes, welcome. Thank you so much for
Oh,
joining us. I am ecstatic. As you were speaking to, I've been in this relationship talk space since
mm-hmm.
2019.
Mm-hmm.
Started off as a conversation I was having to single moms. I had something called the Baby Mama Chronicles on YouTube.
So,
Kind of went crazy. And that's the way that people became synonymous with me
so
on that side of the spectrum, talking about relationship things, interpersonal relationships, love, romance, all of the things. And so fast forward to now, looking to definitely solidify myself more in this space by talking to people that I genuinely respect and genuinely feel have a love for love and connection,
mm-hmm.
specifically with Black families, building better Black families, all of those types of things. And so me studying you and following you way before I even thought that I would be interviewing you, which is
Hey,
crazy. Shout out to 2025. Okay.
hey, no doubt,
Um,
no doubt. And you a mom
yeah,
too,
it's
right?
just, I'm
You a
sorry.
mom too, right?
I'm a mom of two. So I have a newborn. She'll be 1 in March.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. And I have a 16-year-old.
Okay, okay. So
So
both
we
ends
hit
of
that
the
hard
spectrum.
reset button.
You got a 16-year-old?
I have a
And when we get
16-year-old.
out of here on the DM, I'm gonna ask you how old you are. I ain't supposed to do that right here. Whatever
No,
you're
it's so
doing,
no, we're claiming it. I'll be
okay.
40 in
You
October.
gonna be 40?
I'll be 40.
Wow, I
So
thought you were a young buck out here. I thought I had you by a lot. That's what's
really?
up. Yeah,
No, which is a blessing. I'll take
yeah.
it.
That's what's
I'll
up.
take it.
That's what's up. That
Thank
means
God.
you
What is
living
the
right.
saying? What is the saying? I don't look like what I've been through.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I always
So
say that's how I know people living right. When they look that good,
mm,
when they get
mm,
up in age, yeah, that's how you know you're living right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, for those of you who don't know who Brick City Buddha is, of course, he is out of Jersey by way of Houston now.
Mhm.
Definitely look into his page for all of the things that he does. I mean, he has a long resume, most recently on tonight's conversation, which is like the sensation of all sensations in the relationship community currently, but then also has a podcast with his amazing,
Yeah.
beautiful wife. What is the name of the podcast?
Uh,
God Me
yeah,
Again.
yeah. We just switched the name. It used to be Remembering Me, but we just rebranded, and now it's God Is Me Again. Yeah.
Yes, God is me again. Absolutely. So you guys make sure to look out for that as well. I kind of want to reserve the time to really get into it. Y'all can do your Googles and all of the things. All you got to do is Google it. All of his stuff is going to show up or whatever. He ain't no stranger
That's
to
right.
what's going on around here. So first things first, one of the things I kind of wanted to talk about is I guess we can just kind of jump right in, right? I posted something on my page today specifically. I've
Okay.
seen you talk about that there, and I think there was another platform you joined where you also were talking about that as well, where you have relationships with the former partners of your partner, your wife, and vice versa. You guys are able to cultivate your own relationships with people that have had some level of intimacy with your partner, which I think is, you know, next level security, connection, all of those
Niggas
things.
think I'm
But
crazy, but yeah.
to your point, yeah. So to your point, it's like you know, it's alien to a lot of people to kind of have that mindset in that regard. And I just was hoping that you can kind of give us some more context on what that looks like for you guys. And moreover, like, why do you think people are so unnerved or scared about delving that deep into levels of like intimacy, connection, and trust?
I probably start the back end of that question. And shout out to Kels too. When she live out
Uh-oh, little
in the LA
freezing.
area, but yeah, she said they host the best retreats ever. She came to our retreat, so just sending love to my sis real quick.
Beautiful.
Yeah, but to answer your question, I remember having conversations with my wife before I even started to get vocal about this particular dynamic. And she was able to tell me that she had never felt completely safe or trusting of any of the partners she had been with previously. She had never been in a situation where she knew it wasn't trust, it wasn't faith. She knew this nigga ain't doing nothing, right? And
Mm-hmm.
this is her first relationship in that space. And on my end, it wasn't, you know, the perception that women I had been with before was stepping out in some way, shape, or form. But I had never felt as safe emotionally as I have in this space to be my complete, full, total self. Like I say sometimes, when I don't have the answers, when I don't got the guap, when I don't got the bread, whatever it may be, I could be an individual, I could be a man, and still feel safe in my spot. So I kind of refer to it as relationship stain, right? And I know you in the LA area, gangs is real big out there. Same
Right.
thing in the Newark area where I'm from. We know what stain is. You got to put some work in to be able to get a certain level of stain on your name in the gang culture. And I feel like relationship stain is really big to the degree me and my wife been through so much. We have developed so much relationship stain in so many different areas of our soul work on individual levels, and then what we've been able to share together, that it don't matter who look like what. I'm around beautiful, dope women all the time. That piece of myself don't even activate no more outside of my wife, and same thing vice versa. So I know when I go in these rooms, and we've been in rooms where, you know, dudes whose names is bigger than mine, who probably got more bread than me, probably got more notoriety, but they ain't Buddha. They ain't
Okay.
me at the end of the day. And same thing on my end. So, excuse me, same thing on her end. So when it's those situations where, of course, we've all had histories, we also all have pasts, and some of those relationships are going to be beneficial to your relationship if they can maintain, of course, as long as it stays platonic, it's respectful. And I know some people is poly out here too. So as long as it's correlated to what y'all have discussed and agreed to, and there's that trust there on top of the relationship thing, it ain't no fear. It ain't no, I wonder what this conversation is going to turn into. And to be completely, like, we're gonna be real, we're gonna be frank about it.
Right.
One of them is my good brother AJ McQueen. I don't know if y'all are familiar with
Yes,
AJ McQueen. That's
absolutely.
my bro. And very early on in the relationship with me and Candace, when we were still developing, they had a very short stint together, and they realized very early on we just supposed to be friends and have maintained a respectful friendship ever since. And when me and her first started to be in concert, I don't even remember what sparked it, but me and him just had a dope exchange in the DM. And we kind of just, I learned how dope he was as an artist. I started to share his shit because I ain't feel no way. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we just connected off a very deep level of brotherhood that to this day still exists. So when he calling either me, sometimes it's me, right? Sometimes it's her. But like I said on the podcast, I may be downstairs eating dinner, and I hear them up here going back and forth, and she like, "Look, you supposed to be doing this." That I already know what time it is. I feel comfortable in my spot, and I also understand what she represents to the healing of masculinity at large,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Mm-hmm.
going to come with some of these conversations beyond the
Yeah.
podcast. I need to talk to my brother real quick, and the same thing on my end. We are able to afford each other that, and it's actually like establish more intimacy and more connection and more safety with each other, because a lot of times you don't know if the trustworthiness is real until they in a situation where it got to be
We're
tested.
tested.
We get these
Yes.
situations all the time, and it's no test to even pass because it just don't register to us like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. It's amazing. And I think, the average person that is trying to navigate situationships, relationships, with a marriage, even, to the extent of that,
Mm-hmm.
trying to relinquish the false sense of control we feel we
Right.
have over others. To perform a certain way or show up for a certain way, so that way we don't have to look inwardly and really deal with ourselves and kind of
Mm-hmm.
have conversations that are maybe painful or uncomfortable about what we really need in past issues with childhood and all of these different things. So
Mm-hmm.
what do you think? Why do you think people are so scared? Or what can people do to inch to that? Because it's not like just diving deep into the water and just,
Mm-hmm.
feeling 100% comfortable with maybe their partner interfacing with somebody that they had a
Mm-hmm.
history with. So how do you inch into getting there when you're, navigating relationships?
I mean, you gotta do that within yourself first. And one of the main themes of me and my wife relationship is impermanence, right?
Mhm.
My mom passed last year on Mother's Day.
Right.
She's had a lot of transition where it's a lot of angst in her family. She used to be very family oriented, still is, but family can family sometimes, and shit can get ripped from under you in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
She don't have access to her family like she once had. It's just been all these different expressions of source kind of pushing us forward, and whenever you get in that trajectory of rapid evolution, you're gonna realize how quickly things need to change in your life for you to be able to get to where you're going. So we've been able to continuously establish a relationship with impermanence. It still don't feel good, right?
Yeah.
It's still gonna be like, my nigga, God, come on, bro. Like, why this right,
What
right?
more do you want from me?
What
Yeah.
more do you want from me? But it gets to the point where the acceptance starts to come online, and then with that, the embracing and the understanding of why permanence is so important to the human experience. And with that, going back to the previous topic, let's say a man did come along. Let's say it was a former friend or whoever it was that she may have a conversation with or have a connection with in some way, shape, or form, where she realizes there may be something here for me to explore, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
may be romantic,
Right.
and it may be more conducive to where my journey is right now than to what I currently share with my husband. I'm gonna be fucked up, right?
Yeah.
I'm,
Right.
I'm I'm not gonna go willingly into the night, but there's a core level of respect for her human experience outside of what we share together. And if that was to happen, of course, every time I bring this, I ain't going nowhere, right? She
Right.
would give me a right,
Right.
but the ideology of that is extended both ways because we don't know what life going to throw at us tomorrow. We don't know what we're going to need next week or next year. It may not be that person that you're sleeping next to right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the truest level of love is to want more for that person's journey, even when that doesn't include you, than you want to be able to receive from y'all being in concert together. And we both have been able to show each other that that's where we at. But that comes from the internal work.
Mm-hmm.
She had 4 years of van life and celibacy and investigating herself in the mountains. I had a year's celibacy, 4 years of diving into myself before I tried to teach anybody anything. So we had already cultivated that level of trust in God, acceptance of permanence over time, and then respect for each other's journey to just want the best for each other, whatever that may be, even if that's not us.
Yeah. The selflessness aspect of it, and kind of just, there's no way to get around having to do the work. And I think that a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people want quick and easy answers. I even heard your wife say, I think it was on gosh, I can't think of the guy's name, but one of the podcasts that you guys had did together, and she was talking about Willie D. And she was
Okay.
saying, people come to me and, Miss Candy, I need help with this, help
Mm-hmm.
me with this problem, and they want this quick fix. She's like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't work like that. The first time we have a session, we might not even talk about said issue. We
Yeah.
may be talking about something totally different. And so I think we are kind of on fast track to get to the easy answer, and something that's going to solve all of the problems. But there's no way to circumvent needing to do that internal work, turning inward and kind of figuring out what's the next step. So it kind of leads me to the next question with, I also heard you guys talk about as well. You guys have a very, everything that about y'all is unique, first of all, but like there's something else. The way that you guys describe love and intimacy, a certain definition or way that you guys describe love and intimacy, I was hoping that you could share with us as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, what form of intimacy we talking about?
Well,
That's a
I
A
think
bunch of different words.
right. I think in the context that you guys were speaking to, it was kind of just like as far as love, maybe speaking to what you were just saying too, as far as wanting more for the other person. Because I think we do have a lot of possessory attachments to people, and it's not really, predicated on genuine, whether you with me, just you as a human being existing, trying to navigate this plane right here, right now. I got your back, and there was some conversation that you guys had in that
Okay,
regard.
so you mean overall? I thought you meant like more so sexual intimacy. Okay,
That too, we can get to that too. Yeah, because
okay.
that would be
All right.
good.
So
All
I
the
do the
things.
I do the overall first, and
Yeah.
people often ask us like, "What is love to us?"
Yes.
And my answer is pretty much always the same. And I use like the analogy of, you may be in nature one day by yourself, you're doing your healing work, whatever it may be, and you kind of just get lost in the moment. And you just may see a particular flower that's just beautiful as fuck, and it just kind of draw you in, right? And while you have this intimacy, this moment of intimacy with this flower, at a certain point, it may only be a fraction of a second, but at a certain point, you lose or disconnect from the idea yourself because of the beauty of this flower. And you give all of your attention, all of your ability to appreciate to this flower to the degree yourself is lost in the process. To me, that's what love really is. And when I speak for myself, when I have approached it in that way, it's made me a better student of love. It's made me a better student of my wife because a lot of this shit I'm still learning on the fly. Like 5+ years in, I know my wife very well, but it's still a lot more to learn. I feel like it take a whole lifetime, probably multiple lifetimes, to master how to love one person. I know it's polyculture heavy right now. All the hoteps out here want to have 15 wives and all that.
11 wives.
I get it, right? But I'm really digging the process of day in and day out, moment to moment, studying her like I would that flower when I used to be in nature heavy, when she used to be in the mountains heavy. And not only does I benefit from it, and it teaches me how to love her, it teaches me how to love myself, the blind spots and the blockages within myself. So before we get to anything sexual or vacations and trinkets or whatever it may be, whatever people think intimacy is, I feel like that's where it got to start first. And moment to moment, that's going to teach you how to continue to evolve in an intimacy that's unique to y'all, because everybody's intimacy is going to look different.
Right, absolutely. What about the communication aspect? Because um I don't know if that's something that you're an artist as well, right? So your way with words might just be something that you're gifted to be able to, articulate in a way that not only people can understand, but namely women, considering that we are very, specific in the way that we want to communicate and we want that communication from our partner. So what was your journey through, developing the language to be able to effectively communicate in a
Yeah,
relationship?
I would say it's two sides to it. Let me turn the light on real quick.
Okay. Probably getting a little dark over there. So yes,
Yeah.
shout out to all my people all over.
Yeah, I would say it's two sides to it. I was learning a side that wasn't going to be as beneficial as I thought it would be by the time I got to my person. Meaning that my communication history and culture is a lot different than my wife's. She is somebody that when things wasn't going right with a particular gentleman, she out. It ain't gonna
Okay.
be no we gotta knock down, drag, and I mean she's just gonna leave. And me on the other end, I thought as a man I was supposed to fight for every relationship. If a woman had my heart, it didn't matter how poorly she may have loved me. If she had my heart, I was supposed to do whatever it takes to make the shit work, which came with a lot of arguments, came with a lot of toxicity, trauma. I was Mr. Punch holes in walls. I ain't never put my hands on a woman outside of when I was 5 years old and some chick hit my sister and I had to defend her, right? Outside of that, I never came close to putting my hands on a woman, but a lot of rage and a lot of anger developed in me, strengthening what I call my conflict muscle. And that doesn't and that didn't mean that I came into this relationship ready to just fight and go into combat. But it meant when we would get into conflict that I had so much callus developed on this muscle that it had been worked so much that I could have a disagreement with somebody and my mind turns into like a machine. I know what you said last Tuesday. I know how it correlates to what you just said now. I know you didn't say that this way because I'm filing this shit like a robot because I've had to do this in previous relationships to just protect myself in different ways. And I'm good at going through all the various nuances in that initial conversation on a particular topic because his conflict muscle is very
Mm-hmm.
developed. That did not help me at first in this relationship because she's the opposite end of the spectrum. She would
Yeah.
just leave, and she's not doing that now. So she has also had to learn a different culture, but that has come with my nigga. I can't jump through all these hoops of fire, nuances, and details. I got to do one topic at a time, and by the time
Right.
we exhaust this, I may be exhausted, and you got to put everything on the back burner for another 2 3 days before I can go back to it. So a lot of what I learned coming in, it was helpful in certain ways, but that's the thing. Each of these relationships is going to be unique. You can use your template to the best of your ability, but when you get with a new person, there's a new template that has to be developed. And that template is going to be unique to what you have both experienced, your relationship histories and cultures, and where y'all are in your life at that time. You have to rewrite the program
Mm-hmm.
every single new relationship we get in. And a lot of us are trying to use the old programs. We're trying to use the Pentium 2 when Pentium 6 is what we're supposed to be using,
And
right?
thinking
And
it's
think
still
this
gonna
shit is going
work.
to be solved. Yeah, no
Yeah.
doubt.
Um, it's funny because I think about whether or not um for especially I guess when it comes to women, you know, communicating with men, we want to get a certain answer out of them. And I don't know if we have our active ears and listening skills attuned. So a lot of the times things are going over our heads. And I hear what you're saying about being present enough to know that everybody is going to interface and communicate differently. You know, needing to really get to know this person's method and mode of doing that, and having empathy. Another thing that I had posted on one of my other posts a while back was empathy. I said, where the hell is the empathy that we used to have for one another, you know, and knowing, okay, well, I know that this person comes from a background where their father used to yell at them all the time, you know what I'm saying? And that's a sensitive topic. And, you know, my mom, you know, used to cut me off and she was very cold. I would try to, you know, pour my heart out to her and kind of get that response from her, and she just was non-responsive. So I think it's also having just a level of empathy as well, you know, just with each other, as far as navigating relationships as well. So
And I think the empathy tends to leave. I mean, on a conscious level, we understand I'm supposed to have empathy with people and especially with my partner. But a lot of times we'll get into conflict, and usually it's an opportunity for trauma to surface that may not even have to do with your partner.
mm-hmm.
And usually that version of ourselves is going to come to surface with the most unhealed trauma. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
times that's going to be you looking at a grown ass man or woman in front of you, but now that y'all are in conflict and the trauma openings are now open and it's surfacing, now it's 8-year-old in front of you. Now it's 15-year-old in front of you. And
How
sometimes
can
we
you tell? How can you tell if that person is existing in that space? I've heard you guys speak about that before too. If I'm talking to my eight-year old, you know, man,
mm-hmm.
or my, you know, 10-year old, like, how do we even know? Are there signs that show up where when we're in the middle of conflict that we be able to tell? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I think most of it is heart space calculation as opposed to being able to tell with this. Case in point, I used the quicker version of this, and I posted about this, I think, a couple weeks ago. Me and my wife had a particular moment of conflict about our podcast, right, and how it was going up. I ain't gonna get into all the details, but it was morning time. She had just woke up. She was doing stuff, but I did ask her, you know, do you got the capacity to hear me out? Once she asked me if something was bothering me, she could tell something was off about my energy. I really didn't want to get into it because she had put a lot of effort into our podcast going up. She do like all the logistical stuff with the computer. That's not my lane. I come up with the ideas and the names and, you know, structure how we flow, and then she do the back end. So I knew she had put in a lot of work for like 3 4 days straight getting this system together. And when it went up, I also wanted to protect the seed that we had just replanted together. But
mm-hmm.
I didn't really want to get into it. I wanted to give her grace, but she like, yo, is something off? Like, all right, do you got the capacity? I asked her, do you got the capacity? She said, yeah. And as we started to get into it, we was able to make it through the moment. But she said a particular thing that it reminded me it had come up in other conversations, which was, I feel like you fucking with me, or I feel like you picking with me, right? And it hadn't really hit me until that moment. We didn't even really beef in this moment. We got through it, but it kind of stuck out like a sore thumb that had been a common theme that had come up in previous conversations and
Mm-hmm.
exchanges. I'm never picking on her. Like that energy is nowhere near in me at large, especially when it comes to my wife. but I wanted to investigate why it was still coming
Yeah.
up, right? So we had got past the first part of the conversation, made the moves we needed to make, but I wanted to revisit. At this point, she's in the shower. It's like 20 minutes later. So I go downstairs, I ask her again, I'm like, you got the space to hear me out about something? And she like, yeah. So she in the shower, the steam is on the window and all that. And at a certain point, there was some heightened energy that was coming in, probably more so on my side. I was getting a little frustrated, not yelling, not doing nothing crazy, but my voice was escalating a little bit. I was starting to talk a little bit faster, which I tend to do when I get heightened, right? And at a certain point, as I'm communicating, I guess either she was conscious of it or maybe not, but she just started to draw hearts on the glass of the shower. Baby, huh? When you drew the hearts, was you consciously doing that? She wasn't even conscious of it, right?
Wow.
But we've had so many of these conversations that after the logistics of what we beefing about, we are able to extract new information about communication, relationships, just between us, that turns into how we teach people. But I guess we had done this so much that in that moment, unconsciously, she registered empathy through these hearts. And she didn't even have to say, baby, you getting a little heightened. As soon as she started drawing the hearts, my little kid came and said, oh, oh, she drawing hearts. Why
That's
is
so
she doing
cute.
that? And it became a reflection. I you
Yeah.
a little heightened. You was talking a little fast. This conversation doesn't call for that. She hearing you, bro. And I was able to recognize the version of myself where I had to fight tooth and nail, where I had to try to get everything in because I wasn't going to be listened to for past 3 to 4 minutes.
Right.
This is not that. All of that in that moment. And like she said,
That's
it
a little
wasn't
different.
a mental cognition. It was more so a heart thing in that moment. So as long as our hearts are open in these exchanges, I think we'll be able to pick up on when 8-year-old, 5-year-old, 15-year-old is coming to surface.
Absolutely. Wow, that is powerful. AF. Shout out to your amazing wife. I'm literally a stand for you guys. I, seen you guys in the car looking at the raindrops as they fell on the you know what I mean?
Okay,
Just
you did
being
your homework for
just
real.
being
Yeah.
fully present. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's at the base of course, the self-work, shadow work, and all of those things individually. But when you are together, specifically when you are in presence of each other, being present,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And really seeing each other past this,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? And we spend so much time building all of this up. Our pride and everything is connected to it. And so, if we can kind of at least try to start, removing some of that to really see each other, I think that our relationships would be so much better. But
That,
very powerful.
that's a
Um,
real quick. That's another part
yes.
of intimacy too. A lot of niggas don't be listening to y'all. Like y'all man in y'all relationship, we have done so much work as men to make sure the bag is secure that we could provide and protect. And even with our homies, conversation content is very limited. We're gonna talk about rap. We're gonna talk about
Everything else.
sports in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
We're not having real, deep, intimate conversations just in life at large. And we haven't mastered the ability to truly listen. We haven't mastered the ability to just have playful, careless banter with our women, which is extremely important to y'all. When y'all come to us and y'all want to give us the tea or tell us what's going on at work, it ain't even about the logistics of that. For y'all, that's intimacy to really be able to just go back and forth with your man in some of these ways. So just the first stage of intimacy, a lot of men are trained to check out on y'all, to go on the dates initially, and they have these key points and questions, and they know when to say a word, but they really not there with you to a large degree. So in that mastery of intimacy and really giving your attention to something, that's something that also comes online for men, which makes them more adept at being able to pick up on some of those things in the careless banter. And what she said about old girl in the cubicle that's looking at her funny, we'll
Right.
start to get tips on how to love our wife better, what dates to take her on. All this different shit starts to come online. So it's a lot of work we got to do as men to be able to level up in this arena.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, where do you think one should even be starting with finding someone, letting them find them, whatever whatever comes first? I think people act like they're not, right? It is a human and biological need for us to have connection. I don't know
Absolutely.
why we run from that so much, but it is what it is. But what can we do to be active enough to, or what can we do to prepare ourselves to enter into that arena? I think that a lot of us are doing it unconsciously. We find ourselves with people. It's not intentional. We're just kind of trying to connect because we're desperate and starving for that connection, but we're not intentional on what kind of connection, what kind of person, where we are, what we feel like we need, what we can offer and give. So what would you say some of the first steps would be in navigating, you know, kind of bringing in the person that someone really, really wants?
You said prepare.
How can
You
they
said, no,
prepare?
no, no, hold
Yeah.
on. I got you.
Okay.
You said
Okay.
you said the word prepare. You said to bring in. I think it was another term you used, but all of these correlate to an idea of something we want to acquire in the future,
Mm.
right? And I often say, like, I don't. Even when I say I miss my wife, it's more so banter. Just how we kind of. I always say if you missing somebody or something, you missing what's in the moment. You missing the form that God is taking to love on you right now. Whether that's resting on your bed, having a quick nap, watching a movie, having a plate of food, whatever it may be. And when we take that approach that we're doing something for a particular desired result in the future, there can be some disingenuousness with that. It can be effective too, right? We can manipulate in certain ways how the universe yields around us, but when you want the purest form of the relationship to show up, at a certain point for me and my wife, all the I'm doing this to get that in the long run, all that shit started to disintegrate.
Mm.
When we started to speak, we would say all the time, I don't want no relationship. I don't want no marriage. I'm ready to go the rest of my life, possibly never even having sex again, because we was just both kind of like through with the bullshit
Yeah.
that we experienced out here, but we was also extremely deep into our self-reliance, into that intimacy with source and the divine. So we was to the point where we had no dog in the race, and we had so much collateral built up and how we loved on ourselves. I don't know if you used to watch Martin.
Of course.
Said you 40, right? So we in the same
Of
bracket.
course.
And I often reference that episode of Martin when he was at the Colt.
Najee Ramba.
Not Najee Ramba. Okay, you with
Najee
me, right?
Ramba.
So my Najee Ramba phase of me being in the forest 5-6 hours a day, like literally by myself. I'm half blind at this time. 13-year relationship had disintegrated at this point. The bros kind of flaked out on me because I can't go, nigga, I can't see. So I can't go to the club, I can't drink, I can't smoke. I realized a lot of those friendships was really trauma bonds, right? So I had no choice but to face myself, to face my own shit, and to dive into who I was and who God was. And that started to feel really good to me. It got to the point where I'm not doing this meditation to heal or to get my vision back or to fix my finances. At first it was. We kind of approached God like a genie in a bottle. Please come fix me. But at a certain point, it didn't matter what came beyond, oh, this relationship is lit, the one I got with God. So by the time we showed up in each other's lives, we weren't doing anything. We had kind of passed that part of the process where we were trying to manipulate or trying to bend the universe around our desires. It was just like, I'm going to honor God, and whatever comes from that, cool. But I'm not doing anything to get to that point. So my answer to that question, doing enough intentional self-investigation, and I'm not talking about dollar